Originally, I intended to discuss the Reforged art style in my Warcraft Re-Reforged 4 years later video, but after spending 85 hours total, half of which on the last 3 days before release, and getting the video up onto YouTube 4 hours before it published, I'd run out of time and had to cut it. However, I'd like to take the opportunity now, after some recuperation, to give a shout out, as it were, to 2 projects that could be worth your reason to buy Reforged alone. Before I start, I would like to make my position on Reforged Graphics clear to those that may not know where I stand. I do not like the Reforged graphics, nor do I like the Warcraft 2 gameplay. More on that later. However, when I was going to make a segment addressing the Reforged graphics, I wanted to point out the effort placed into the concept art, which was overall very well illustrated, if a little overly detailed, when regarding their approach to Reforged models that would represent the new version of the original Warcraft 3 classic models. And I wanted to compare these well-made concept art drawings to the practical result that was created. I thought of the Reforged Tauren Chieftain and just how scuffed this guy looks. Far too much of a derpy, mangled mess. I'm talking about the guy on the right? So I brought up the Tauren Chieftain concept art, then proceeded to compare it with its Reforged model. I saw that it was Cairn Bloodhoof that was the derp. He is 99 years old after all, but comparing him to his other versions showed that, surprisingly, the Reforged model held up well. It actually looked almost exactly like the concept art, which I was quite happy to praise. This led me to realize that even I, someone not keen on the Reforged style, could see the potential of these characters being brought to life with detail that gave meaning to the hero or unit they represented. It was possible to create Reforged models that weren't completely grotesque. This leads me to discuss 2 projects that have tried to recreate what Reforged itself couldn't. Let's start with Re-Reforged. Insane Monster set out to create what should have been the Reforged experience, with actually remastered in-game cinematics that utilize more camera angles and attention to environmental detail when characters were in dialogue. He modernized the original missions to have more meaningful events, and redesigned quests which, based on the player's decisions, could impact following maps they would go on to play afterwards. The gameplay excels here as your immersive experience with the missions is enhanced by the behavior of the AI. It feels quite personal and satisfying when overcoming your opponent. With playable interludes, those are like in-game cutscenes that were in between the missions themselves. It allowed players to actively take part in the development of some of their favorite heroes, and retrievable manuals in-game would describe the lore of the Warcraft universe, particularly the areas, items, and characters you were interacting with during these very missions. Where perhaps Insane Monster has excelled the most in this project could be the rebalanced difficulty levels. As someone who plays on hard, this is most definitely noticeable during the missions. The AI scripting is on another level, as encounters with your opponents will keep you on your toes and the boss fights are the icing on the cake. This is a much greater challenge, and your skill and strategic decisions will lead to some pretty close calls throughout most of the levels, which is exactly how it should be. Balance is not easy as everyone is different, but I really noticed the impact of how challenging the AI could be at times, which in turn made me far more engaged, thus leading to a better, if not sometimes more stressful experience, but one you are grateful for at the end of it when you get to the other side successfully. The Warcraft 3 Re-Reforged Exodus of the Horde and Human campaign, The Scourge of Lordaeron, is available now on Hive Workshop to play, with more to come in the future. Moving on to the Chronicles of the Second War, a campaign within the Warcraft 3 Reforged engine where you relive the events of the Warcraft 2 Orc campaign. The Lorecraft Designs team have exceeded in providing an incredibly detailed, immersive atmospheric world set within the Warcraft 2 universe. As a Reforged graphics hater, I can still recognize and respect the incredible effort put into actually utilizing the Reforged style to make faithful adaptations to the Warcraft 2 clans. So many units, buildings, doodads, you name it, have clearly been painstakingly remastered to such a high quality level that does the original so much justice. There are 17 missions. Some of them are just complete bonuses that flesh out more of the lore and explain how and why things came to be. Many hours of cinematics are sprinkled in throughout the levels to give the characters a chance to show off their personalities. These cinematics really shine as introductions to each act of the campaign you will play through. The lore is as thick as the atmosphere of some of the levels, There is plenty to learn and understand for any keen Warcraft 2 enthusiast. An incredible effort has been put in, over 1,500 lines of voice acting, to let the players sit back and absorb the world with which they are engaging with.
Tell me, for Doomhammer, immediately.
The soundtrack has been retouched without harming the quality of the very popular original music. They even managed to get oil to work in the game as a whole nother resource like golden wood. A great way to get the Americans invested in the campaign for sure. I said earlier I don't like Warcraft 2 gameplay because it's tedious. However, this Warcraft 3 edition did help to improve upon it with some more engaging storylines and mission objectives. Everything else about Warcraft 2 is fantastic. The characters, the voices, the sounds, the music, the visuals. With so many good things about Warcraft 2, it should be hard to top it. But Chronicles of the Second War manages this and does such a fantastic job with all of the aforementioned features. My favourite aspects of the Chronicle of the Second War have to be some of the cutscenes, and the level design truly is inspiring as a technical feat for players to experience. The wetlands atmosphere is just stunning. This is one case where a huge amount of detail actually really pays off in Reforged. The Chronicles of the Second War Tides of Darkness campaign is available now on Hive Workshop to play, with the human campaign to follow sometime in the future after the team have taken some much needed rest. So perhaps I gave you a reason to buy Reforged, or perhaps two reasons. Please check the video description for links to both of these projects. I won't cover how to install them as you can find this information on both the pages these links take you to. Whilst my main criticism with Reforged is essentially really the frame rate issues, which can be found in both of the projects, but depends on your setup. It's not really their fault, it's definitely the fault of Reforged itself, and I don't think that should take away from the hard work that's been put into it. So even with that said, it's definitely worth giving the respect due and playing these awesome campaigns. You'll just have such an amazing experience doing it, irregardless of the brutal frame rate from time to time. I know I did. Both of these projects deserve recognition, so it's why I took some time to make this video to recognize their efforts, since I wasn't able to include it before, despite wanting to in a previous video. I've often said to anyone interested in buying Warcraft 3 that the campaign is a good enough reason by itself, but now, with the Warcraft 3 custom campaign community, what they've brought to the table, there's so much to be enjoyed. So, like I say, check out the links below and give it a go. Thanks for watching, and thanks for the effort the Warcraft 3 community still continues to make to this day. Take care.